Hey, this is Adam Torres, and I'm here to tell you that it has never been easier to start your very own podcast. At Mission Matters, our goal is to amplify stories that matter. That means we want to help you start your podcast because your story matters. We can do this in 3 different ways. 1, join our podcast school and take a free or paid course. 2, visit our resources page where we've already figured out what you need, such as where to host your podcast. Or 3, heck, we can even do everything for you through our podcast agency, including editing for cheaper than you can do in-house. Oh, and no contract, service is month to month. Get started by heading over to missionmatters.com and click on Start a Podcast. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Fitness Podcast, your source for all things fitness. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Saul Maldonado on the line, and he's founder and ISSA certified professional trainer over at Pro One Fitness and Nutrition. Saul, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on your show. Honored.
Oh, man, Saul. So I'm excited to get into today's topic. So we're going to talk about a time to change health and nutrition for the Latino community, which I know you work deeply with. So I'm excited to get into that topic. But before we do, let's go a little bit further into what you're doing overall at Pro One Fitness and Nutrition. Tell us a little bit more about your company, please.
Well, first and foremost, I am definitely studying a lot, so I can share this information with the Latino community. So more than anything, I'm focused on fitness, trying to get the Latino community active and, sharing healthy tips and just putting it out there and trying to, encourage the Latinos to have different eating habits.
That's awesome. And I think it's a great transition into today's topic. So, really kind of talking about the Latino community and their health and nutrition habits. I mean, maybe just to kind of frame and put this into context, maybe we can start with you talking a little bit more just about the problem and kind of what exists right now.
I think, and I don't want to say all Latinos, right? I don't want to,
actually, hold on. One step back. Maybe I shouldn't use the word problem. The opportunity, because it's not. But there
right.
are some stats out there. No, I don't. So I don't want to say this in a negative light, but at some point, we have to. My dad's from Puerto Rico, by the way. I'm of Mexican descent, so I have the blood, whatever. So everybody listening, that's like, oh, this guy Adam. What did you just say about us? I'm like, hey, I grew up in the household too of food that I can't eat anymore. Because if I do, it's, I got to have heart issues or other things. Like, there's a lot of things, and I should say, not that I can't eat, but it's moderation. There's a lot of other things. So let me frame that right for you. So there's some opportunity there, and the numbers don't lie, and say what you will. People are hurting because of this.
And that was the key point that you said, that, when we're young, we'll eat whatever we want as much as we want, and once we get older, then we're restricted and limited. But along with that is the higher risk of diabetes, cholesterol, high blood pressure, things like that. And unfortunately, it's a cultural thing, because of the food and the way we cook the food. And we don't stop and think about the effects that's going to have on us, even though we see it in our older generation. We just think that it's normal and that we should accept the fact that we're going to deal with these infirmities later on along the line, when we can actually stop it from even happening and live a healthier, longer life.
Yeah, and what I think this is, and I by the way, for everybody listening, I have zero, this is just my opinion, so I'm not the trained health guy. That's definitely Saul, but I am kind of I like history, and I like reading things, and I like studying people. And if I really think about it, I'm like, well, some of these eating habits, and this isn't just in the Latino community, this is also in the white community. So if you grew up on a farm in a white community and you were out there going out to, go, work on your farm all day long once upon a time in the United States, then guess what? You probably had a big old steak, you had all these eggs, you had all a huge amount of food that you were going to use to sustain yourself because you're out there working on a farm. Well, same thing with the Latino community, right? That's how our patterns came from, the same exact thing. But somewhere along the line,
we maintain those eating habits. Like, you can't eat a pack of tortillas. You're not going to work on a farm. You're going to sit at a desk. Like, you can't do that. So, like, you're not going to burn that off. It's going to go to your heart, and it's not going to be good, like, long term. So, like, a lot of this to me is like, it's a lot of it's the education part of it, but it's tricky, right? Because their habits and they're passed down, and especially if you're in a close household, maybe grandma still cooks. Like, there's just different things that it's hard to break those patterns.
And we can use history from both ends. You know, just like you said, you gave a good example of certain eating habits. For me, I look at my parents and their siblings, and they're dying younger. But then I look at my great-grandparents, and they lived past 100 years. So looking back at history, now I'm thinking, well, I need to find out what my great-grandparents are eating. How were they eating? What were their eating habits, and what was their lifestyle like that helped them live past 100 versus my parents and their siblings that are starting to die at a younger age. So going back to history, it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. You know, so learning the history, knowing how to live a longer, healthier life, you know, by what they were eating and what their activities were versus those that are, you know, sick and passing away at a younger age. So history has a lot to do with, you know, pretty much making a choice on how we want to live.
So let's give some. I wouldn't say advice, because it's going to be different for everybody, right? Some people have different issues or different health or dietary things. So obviously you want to work specifically with a trainer or somebody training this, which you are. But let's talk generally for the moment. So what are some things that, you know, some people listening to this right now should be thinking about as they kind of reframe their relationship with food and just fitness overall?
It's completely unbalanced. Number one, you know, some people have that whole, well, I'm going to die anyway type of attitude, and they're eating whatever they want, not realizing that it's going to have long-term effect later on. And then you have those that are extremely, you know, going organic, gluten-free and all that, but they're not taking into consideration the environment, the atmosphere. You know, there's contaminants in the air. So you can't necessarily purify your body 100% with nutrition, because then you're not going to be able to sustain yourself, you know, with with the smog and pollution. So I think it's having the balance of, you know, being able to enjoy the foods that we want, but at the same time enjoying, you know, the healthier stuff that's also going to strengthen us and be able to fight off these infirmities.
So where do people start? So, like, somebody's listening to this right now and they're like, you know what, I want to make some changes. And you know, I'm listening to Saul and I fall in this category and I want to improve some things in my life. I mean, where would you suggest that people start, the people that are listening thinking that right now?
Education. You know, don't believe everything you read when you do Google search. You know, reach out to people that actually have the knowledge. You know, reach out to people that have the studies behind it, first and foremost. Second, it's about baby steps. I think a lot of people fall off because they look at the big picture and they get scared. Oh my God, for the next 3 months I have to eat this. Oh my God, for the next 6 months. And they just look at the big picture and they just quit. They give up because they feel that they're going so far ahead. But day by day, you know, if you want to continue eating pizza, that's fine. But instead of eating, you know, 6 slices, cut it down to 3 slices and then compensate the rest with salad or something healthier and nutritional, where you're still going to get full, but you're not going to eat the same amount. And then gradually you start noticing the changes that you start doing. They're like, well, you know what? For example, I don't like chips. I don't eat chips. I have nothing against them, but I've created such a lifestyle for me that I personally don't eat chips. So it's just starting with the baby steps and celebrating those baby steps and taking it a day at a time, setting the goal, but not necessarily looking at the whole picture, but celebrating those successes day by day.
Man, I love that. And I think you just now talked about my Achilles heel or my kryptonite or whatever else. if you open up a pack of Pringles in front of me, I will eat the entire pack of Pringles. I don't know what the sauces they put in there, but I feel like it has some addictive agent. Or maybe it was growing up hearing the commercial, once you pop, you can't stop. Like they brainwashed me. I heard it 2 million times growing up, and now they're right. I'm like, oh, there's only like half a can left. I might as well just finish this. We're not going to put it back, man.
And that's exactly the attitude. You know,
I'm not even hungry, and they get us.
Exactly. But you said it yourself, you know, you see it as, oh, it's only half a pack. Might as well just go ahead and finish it instead of saying, okay, you know what, I had enough. Let me go get an apple now. You know? And people just, they kind of go for the fad, you know, with social media. You know, there's so many things out there that it's all fad diets and, you know, quick fixes, and people aren't willing to put in the work. And not necessarily like killing yourself at the gym, but what I mean by that is simply just making those changes day by day and wanting those changes for yourself.
No, that's awesome. So, if somebody's listening to this right now and they want more information about working with your team and kind of following your work, I mean, what's the best way for them to follow up and to connect?
Just like everything else, you know, social media. I'm on Instagram under Mr. Saul Maldonado. From there, I kind of sort out, you know, everything else that I do. But that's the best way that people can reach out to me. That's where I put, you know, my nutritional tips, Mythbusters. There's a lot of myths out there as well. I put recipes, I put meals, I put workout regimens. Same thing, you know, like I said, you know, you go on Instagram and there's so many people that have generic workouts, and in reality, you know, you just have to focus on what you want and focus on your goal, and then just reach out to someone that actually specializes in that.
Fantastic. Well, so really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great work you're doing. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Fitness, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments in the video. I'd love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And so, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.